Hi, I'm Phil Palucha from Billionaires in Boxers, and you are about to engage with Up-Level Your Communication, hosted by Maluna. Wow, this is going to be powerful. Communication is at the heart of everything that is good about business and about sharing with your fellow humans, and Maluna is phenomenal at helping you share that message and also interview some pretty special and amazing guests too. Check it out right now.
Welcome to Up-Level Your Communication. I'm your host, Dr. Miluna Bausch. On this show, I will be interviewing some of the most interesting business people in the world. We'll focus on up-leveling your communication and leadership skills so that your voice can be heard and you can make an impact in the world. Welcome to Up-Level Your Communication. My guest today is an EAP consultant and trainer, a business consultant, and he and his wife created a foundation. Very impactful, which you'll hear about. He's also a winner of the Entrepreneur's Herald 40 Under 40 for his foundation. Now, he's going to share something unique, P-I-E, with us today. So stay tuned to hear his secret sauce. This is Matthew Riddick in Phoenix, Arizona. Matthew, what a pleasure to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I really appreciate that.
Well, first, tell us a bit about yourself and how your background led you here.
Yeah. So, as you said, my wife and I reside in Phoenix, Arizona. Professionally, I have a corporate career, close to 15 years in healthcare. I've served for corporations such as Allstate, AmeriHealth Administrators, IQVIA, which is a global human data science firm. And I just, out of that corporate career, I gained a lot of exposure and experience at different levels. And the biggest item that I took from it is the desire to make an impact. And that came from a leader who was acting as a mentor for me at my former company, IQVIA, where I served. And that really resonated with me, that it's not always the position or the dollar amount, but though those are important, it's also about what type of impact, what role, how your role impact future generations, patients, if you're looking at the healthcare field. So that's how I landed here, first as a consultant and healthcare consultant and a trainer. For those who don't know what EAP is, it's an employee assistance program. So what I do is I go to other corporations and businesses and explain to them what their own employee assistance program provides them, typically in the mental health space. And a bit of the physical health, but a lot of it has to do with your emotional and mental health, which is very important in today's world and in today's society. And then also help to launch a few businesses that I have. The one as you mentioned earlier, the Riddick Foundation that my wife and I founded back in 2021, I should say.
2021. You've been busy.
A little bit.
And actually, I don't like the word busy. We have a rich, full schedule, but thank you for explaining EAP. That's one of our questions. What is that? We're on a global show here, and not everyone may know. And I so appreciate your philosophy, Matthew, because if everyone thought about their job or career or business as making an impact, that would just shift everything. So thank you for that. It's a different mindset. It's not money forefront. Of course, it's important to be sustained and benefits.
Absolutely.
But gosh, what's the real impact you're making? Such a bigger question. Now, you shared with me you've broken some glass. Yeah, I get excited. Let me slow down. You have broken some glass ceilings, as we like to say here in the U.S. Mm-hmm. How did you do it?
Yeah, it's true. I think personally, and I've been told, as an African American, a Black man, especially in this country, there's some glass ceilings and there's some status quos that we have to get over, and we have to get through them. And there's some obstacles you have to get over, and I believe that mentorship is huge. I've had mentors that have poured into me, which has allowed me to be able to pour into others around my age bracket, older, younger. I've also had networking opportunities, which is huge. Building your brand. I'm huge on branding yourself, self-branding, which allows you to have a good career trajectory to break through those glass ceilings. But a key of my philosophy is what you mentioned earlier in the intro is PI. And this philosophy, again, was from a senior leader, and we broke this down. I kind of took this from it, and PI stands for performance, image, and exposure. Now, out of those items, I always ask, what do you think is the most important? And more than 60% of the time, the answer is always performance, because naturally we're performance driven. As human beings, we want to win. We want to, gain first place, which affects our income, our ratings on our jobs, things like that. But the reality of it is that it's your exposure that helps you. It's you being on the forefront and willing to put yourself on the front lines and talk about what you're doing, being put in different projects, being seen. And then from there, it creates your image. What do people gain from your exposure? That's kind of the branding piece. What are individuals understanding about what they just saw about you, about your exposure, about what did you do in that project, or what did they hear about you on that television show? And then from there, naturally, you gain the opportunity to perform because you're exposed. They understand, they learn about your brand from the image, so they want to put you in situations to be able to perform. And that gives you the opportunity to really showcase tangibly what you can do. So I believe that my exposure and my brand and my niche of what I'm able to do allows me to break through those glass ceilings to be in position to perform. So if you think about it, it is a bit unorthodox. It may seem backwards, but that is I think the secret sauce to be able to, especially at a younger age. I just turned 36, so I am young. And these are, and like I said, as a Black man in this country, we have to learn the avenues because our avenues are not the same as some of our counterparts.
I love it. PI. So everyone, our audience can easily remember that. And we start with the end in mind, which is a very smart strategy. So exposure, if no one knows us, we're not going to get business. We're not going to make a difference. Your image, people underestimate the way they look and speak, don't they? Absolutely. And then your performance is more of an output of the rest of it, isn't it? Because then, as you said, you're given opportunities, promotions. You're invited to speak on behalf of the company, and things begin to open up when we show up. Absolutely. So I really appreciate. So capital PIE, start with E, start with the top of the pie first.
Start at the top of the pie first. Work your way down.
Work your way down to the goodness, the filling in the middle. Right?
Exactly. To the good stuff.
It's excellent. So I know everyone has a visual picture. It'll be easy to remember the secret sauce that Matthew has shared with us. Now, I see and studies show that some folks make the very most when opportunities are presented, but some not so much. Opportunity does not mean outcome. And so did you find that you had to change your mindset? Did you feel like you didn't deserve some things? How do you develop a open heart and a wonderful mindset to allow you to step in even when it's scary?
Yeah, you have to be successful and to be accomplished. Because I do believe that there is a difference between accomplished and successful, and I can get into that if you want me to. But yeah, so to become accomplished, I do believe that you have to take risks. You have to be willing to put yourself out there, put yourself in situations. I've been placed in roles that I wasn't 100% ready for, but it gave me the opportunity to learn and to grow. And you go through those growing pains to reach the next level. I can honestly say I may have thought from a performance standpoint that maybe I didn't have the skill set yet, but I don't believe I've ever suffered from the imposter syndrome piece, whereas though I didn't think that I belonged in the room. I think that once you have the confidence and the clarity of what you're trying to do, so confidence that you know that you can learn the skill set, right? Everything can be learned or unlearned, and then you have the clarity again of what you're trying to do. What's your end game, right? Are you trying to, do this for a certain period of time to learn to get to the next position? Are you trying to do this for your business? Are you trying to do this for even your personal life? What's for your family? What is it? So that way you can be placed in situations to grow. So I think it's important that we put ourselves out there, throw your hat in the ring, as the saying says, and take the risk to be able to be placed in positions that are quote unquote uncomfortable, right? Because you need to begin to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. I think the worst place to be is in a place of constant contentment and comfort, because it just means, in my opinion, that you are not expanding, you are not growing. And again, the impact. What impact are you having being in a constant state of comfort? So I think that's how you get placed in positions where you may not think that you're ready for, or you may not be comfortable in. But I guarantee at the end, you're going to learn so much, and you're going to grow, and you're going to be able to do so many more impactful things from those growing pains of that type of position.
Love that. I don't think life is really about being comfortable, is it? As you said, if we're expanding, we're going to be uncomfortable a lot of the time. Growing.
Exactly.
I think sometimes, as you said, I know folks who are contented or have a ton of money, and that's a whole nother thing. Inheriting money, that has its set of things, as I might say.
Exactly.
But I think the reason they're not expanding is because of that, a level of comfort and contentment.
You kind of have to.
Okay, I've got a ton of money or whatever that might be. That is security. And there really isn't any security at all, is there? Ultimately, just what we are and who we are.
Exactly. At the end of the day, that's what you have. You have, because when you leave this earth, you can't take the money with you, right? At the end of the day, all you have is your name, and your name is your brand, and your brand from there is how you were exposed and the image of what that exposure came. The performance is the money piece, and the vacation, the outcome of the performance of the vacations and the money, and that's great. But at the end of the day, all we have is our name. And as I said earlier, with your name comes accomplishments and success. And it's great to have, in my opinion, accomplishments are short term, like the 40 under 40s, and the magazine covers and the opportunities to be on television shows and radio podcasts. Those are great, and those are accomplishments. But I believe that the bigger picture is long term success, and success is something that transcends even when I'm no longer here. Is my family set up? Can my son Silas take on the foundation that his mother and father created and take it to another level? That's success, because your name lives on through the accomplishments that you established when you were here. So I think that's really the bigger picture of life, right? The long-term successes. So the accomplishments are the short-term gains, the short-term dividends that are great when you're here, and they're great marketing tools, and it kind of speaks to who you are and your work ethic and value. But the end game is the long-term success that transcends far beyond you. It transcends years to come. And that's really the goal.
Love it. Some people might say legacy. Would you maybe say that?
I would say that. Success could be synonymous to legacy. Exactly.
Could be a similar. Thank you. Now, you have personal experience with Crohn's and working with Crohn's disease. Would you share a bit about that and what that has meant to your life?
Yeah. In November of 2020, I was a month married, which is crazy, but I was diagnosed with a gastrointestinal disease called Crohn's disease. And for those who are familiar, it is, in layman's terms, it could be the inflammation of the intestinal lining in your small or large intestine or colon. When I was diagnosed, I had severe internal bleeding, great weight loss, severe abdominal pain, but long story short, almost 4 years later, I'm doing well. I'm healthy. I'm on a biologic that I have to take on a cadence of every 8 weeks, but it's working. Thankfully I met my wife that forced me to go to the doctors, because, us men, we don't like going to the doctors,
I do.
So my wife said, yeah, you're not looking hot and you need to go see a doctor. So she rushed me to the hospital where thankfully she did, because I was in pretty bad shape. So yeah, I always say, my wife saved my life, because I don't know health-wise if I'd be in the condition that I'd be in now. So I always say that. But it's given me an opportunity to be able to produce advocacy work out of it. So this year, I actually launched the advocacy firm, What the Gut. So it's a play on words, because if you get it, because that was how I felt when that pain hit me. I was like, what in the world is going on? So it's called What the Gut, and it's just about, I've been partnering with organizations such as the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation, Inspire Health, most recently the My Health Team organization and the Crohn's and Colitis division. And I've been able to educate and advocate for the disease, especially in the Black and Brown community. Crohn's disease is growing in the Black and Brown community, and we are either underdiagnosed or not diagnosed at all, which then leads to terminal illnesses. Crohn's disease is a treatable illness. It's a livable illness. You can live a long life, just as anyone else. But it has to be treated. It has to be diagnosed, and then it has to be treated. Because if not, it can then lead to terminal illnesses such as colon cancer, kidney failure, like I said, internal bleeding. You become anemic. There's so many other issues that can come with the illness if it's not treated, or if it's not diagnosed or treated. So for me, it's really just made an impact on learning about the illness, being able to educate, being able to advocate, as I said, in the Black and Brown community, being able to partner with other large organizations and assist them in their advocacy work. Because also men, we don't really like to discuss what we go through. So it's from a man's standpoint, it's good to just be open and transparent about, because Crohn's is not a pretty illness. It's not a pretty illness, and it can really take a toll on your business life, your personal life, and as you said, I try and keep a healthy schedule and a rich schedule, so I have to make sure that my health is under control. So for me, it's just really granted me an opportunity to extend my reach again, as I said, extend my exposure in a different aspect and become an advocate in the space. And I've been doing that pretty heavily over the past 2 years, and it's been a great opportunity.
Thank you for sharing that. I know that's very personal, and I appreciate that. And thank you to your wife. We want you around for a really long time.
Absolutely.
Get thee to the doctor.
Absolutely.
The hospital.
And say, you got to go to the hospital immediately. Absolutely.
As Matthew has taught us, it needs to be treated. It's not a disease that can not be treated. It needs to be handled and managed to live at your best. Now, you speak of self-brand, and you and I spoke about that, something I talk about a lot. I consider our voice very important part of our self-brand. First, we show up, we got the visual, but then when someone begins speaking, what is our impression? Now, Matthew, how has your communication grown as a leader in your brand and your life?
Yeah, over the years, I've learned, as you said, communication is key, right? If you don't know how to articulate yourself in a precise, efficient, and clear manner, you're not going to be able to get many results for any opportunities, whether it be personal or professional. It's funny because I'll take you back. I was not a big speaker or a great speaker growing up, but my mother said, Matt, in order for you to become accomplished and successful, you're going to have to learn to talk to people. And that really resonated with me, man, because I wasn't shy. I just wasn't a people person. I just didn't want to talk. I'm an only child. I was raised an only child, I should say. I'm not an only child, but I was raised an only child. It was just she and I. So, but she really just said, Matt, as I got older into high school, she's like, Matt, if you want to get further in life, you got to learn to communicate. So, I took a lot of communication classes in high school and college, business communications as well. And then the opportunities came, right? And then the experience. I'm able to speak with leaders at different levels of organizations. I'm able to hold conversations like this on both radio and television. Even written communication is important because, being involved in from down to sending emails all the way up to, answering questions for a periodical or business magazine that you may want to publish and launch. You have to be able to clearly communicate your story and what you want people to get out of that story. So when I say that, be efficient and concise in your communication, because you don't want to ramble and give a lot of fluff, because people may walk away and say, okay, well, he seemed like a nice guy, but I still don't get what his story was. What was he trying to deliver to me? What was I supposed to get from that? So being efficient and concise and clear are, in my opinion, the three levels of high-level communication at all levels of life, whether it be personal, your professional life, running a business or a nonprofit foundation, I should say. It's important, and it's assisted me in developing at a great rate, especially around where I am in my career.
Now, would you go deeper about self-brand? And you also shared self-worth is something you and I spoke about. How much do these play a role in our success?
Yeah. I'll touch on the self-branding piece. As you said, your self-brand begins as soon as you enter the door, walk through the door, right? And as human beings, we are naturally visual. We're visual. We prejudge. People say don't judge. Everybody judges. You're going to judge the weather. You're going to judge, who you're talking to. You're going to like their shoes. You don't like their shoes, whatever the case may be, even down to those superficial things. But everyone judges something. It's just who we are as human beings. But your self-brand happens as soon as you walk into that boardroom, as soon as you walk into, that meeting. And then, like you said, then your articulation. How are you communicating? How are you delivering your message? And all that plays into your self-brand. Going back to the pie conversation. Walking in, you're exposed now. You walked into the opportunity. You walked into the project. And now, from a communication standpoint, it kind of plays into that image. What am I delivering? What are people going to take from me when I leave? Right? That's really what it's about. It's about what are people taking from me when they don't see me, for a week or two. Do they still, like Matt, are they saying Matt didn't deliver his message, or did Matt deliver an insightful and impactful message, right? So that all plays into your self-branding. And when you understand your brand, then you understand your self-worth. And that's huge. And sometimes self-worth gets mixed up with, the money, right? How much am I worth to be paid? But that's not the holistic picture. Self-worth is financial when you're discussing that as far as negotiation for that, but it's also understanding that you are enough. You have the skills, you have the image, you've been exposed, you know how to deliver a key message. You've been given opportunities, you've been accomplished. It's all of it. You understand your holistic self-worth and brand. Both self-brand and self-worth go hand in hand in my mind. And the communication piece and leveling up your communication is going to extend your brand and your self-worth astronomically, and it's just so important that our community that we always continue to work on our communication in order to enhance our self-brand and our self-worth. Our worth is continuously growing, right? We don't want to become cheap people and deliver cheap messages, because as we know, cheap things don't last long. They break, they fall apart, they're no longer existing. So we want to make sure that we're delivering a message and a communication that again lasts for years or generations to come, that our children's children will be able to hear our message, and it still make an impact. I think that's another thing about communication, is what we're saying going to be impactful 20 years from now, or is it just about today? Because today won't be here tomorrow. Once today's over, it's over, and something could change tomorrow. Is the message that we're delivering going to be impactful and going to create a dynamic impact 10, 20, 30 years from now?
Wow. Beautiful. Beautiful. How can a person, let's go a little deeper. We've been speaking about impact, one of my favorite words as well. Mm-hmm. How can a person make more impact, have more impact right now in their role, business, career, entrepreneur, maybe personal?
Absolutely. I think.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think one aspect is to get a mentor. A mentor is huge, because you're going to learn how to make impact. Because sometimes you may have the desire to make an impact, but you don't know the avenue. How do I get there? So let's say in your role now, you're trying to learn your role and you want to be the best in your role. You may be a project manager. You may have just entered. You may be an entry level role, or you might be a senior leader. You may even be heading to the C-suite. Get someone that's done your role and done it well, and communicate with them. Articulate your goals. What do you want to get out of the role? And then also articulate where you would like this role to take you, right? And then what is the desire? What are you trying to do to make an impact? What avenues is it? If you work in healthcare, such as myself, one example, mine was really patient services. And I really honed in on that over the last 5 years because I became a patient. I spent 30 years of my life healthy, at least I thought I was. And then in a day, I'm in a hospital or a doctor's office every month or every 2 months sometimes, or sometimes every week, depending if I'm going through a complication. So patient services was really my impact avenue, as I like to call it, my impact avenue that I wanted to go down because it really resonated with me. And I believe that you will become accomplished and have long-term success if you find an avenue that really resonates with you. It may be public service. You may really love your community, right? It may be politics because you really want to make an impact on a certain demographic or location. And then within that avenue, you find a role that suits your skill set, because you may be in the field, but your role isn't aligned with your skill set. So how can you be impactful if you're not in a space where you are utilizing your God-given skills, right? So if I am a great communicator and I love to speak to clients, but I am working in IT, right? And that's a pretty drastic change, but you get my point. I'm not making an impact because I'm not delivering my skill set. I'm not speaking to clients, which is my skill and my gift. So align your skills with the role, and then also align a field or an area that really resonates with you. So overall, you're going to make a dynamic impact on the business, of course, because if you're in the corporate world or you run your own business, you have to make an impact on the business from a revenue standpoint. And then you want to make an impact on the marketplace. And when I say the marketplace, your consumers. So if you work in healthcare, it might be the patients, it might be the HCPs. If you work in public service, it's the community, the residents. You want to make an impact, from that standpoint, from the inside out. Mm-hmm. And then, because it is important, of course, especially from a working standpoint, you gotta perform, of course, but use the pie analogy as far as putting yourself out there, like I said, gaining that mentor, networking, getting exposed, building your image, performing, so you're impacting on the inside, and then innately you're going to impact on the outside, because your work on the inside is going to allow a patient to gain their drug in order to treat their illness, such as myself. Your inside work is going to help public policy. Your inside work is going to help that nonprofit. So, and even in personal life, I'm a new parent. My wife and I have a 6-month-old baby boy. So we look for parents who are in our age bracket that maybe have kids that are older than our son, and then also seasoned parents, because they've done it and they've been around. So we communicate our, opportunities of growth in parenthood and marriage, right? And then what's worked and what hasn't worked. It's just important to gain someone that can pour into you, and then as you learn, the hope is that we're able to pour into somebody else. And that's also where the impact is. It's about, from our experiences, what we've gained, because I believe that no mountain is bigger or better than another's. Different seasons of life bring about different mountains that we have to get over. And I don't care if you've been married for 30 years or you've been married for 4 or 5 like myself, my mountain is not less important than the mountain that, because you've been married at 30 years or what have you. It's just that we're in different seasonal mountains. And in my time, just as work, it is about the experience, but it's also about the impact. So as I'm being poured into and getting over those mountains, I'm able to help someone else that's just getting into the field, or help someone that's just getting married or becoming a parent, because of what I've learned and gone through. And that's how it's just a cycle. And that's how we would make long-term impact. As we get over opportunities, as we gain experiences, get over our own mountains, it's just a great opportunity to gain that mentor, grow your communication, put yourself in opportunities that align with your skill set, and make impact from the inside out.
Inside out. Now, speaking of your son, Silas, what is the most important things you are teaching him and will teach him?
Yeah, I think it's important, as we said, and aligns with this show, communication. We have to be, especially as Black men, we have to communicate our feelings, our experiences, our opportunities, in a clear way that people understand that we are enough, we matter, and that we can deliver. Also, walk in confidence and clarity. I think that it's important, and when I say that, you can be confident, but if you're not clear in where you're going, you're just going to be a confident person going nowhere. You're just going to be spinning your wheels. So it's true. So I some of the areas that my wife and I want to teach them is that, right? Be confident in your skill set, but more importantly, know where you're going with it. What's your end game tomorrow? And when I say that, let's bite size it. What do you want to do tomorrow? What do you want to do 3 months from now, 6 months from now, and then grow from there. I think some of the mistakes that are made when we're trying to understand our clarity is that we make really long-term goals, and it magnetizes problems instead of kind of bite-sizing them. Let's chew off. Let's not take on more than we can chew, right? We just started a business and we're talking about being $100 million in 5 years. So we haven't even made our first 1,000 yet. So let's make the first 1,000 and then let's build it, right? So so it's just those aspects, like I said, communication, confidence versus clarity. Of course, wanting him to be a great stand-up man and whatever he goes into, if he gets married, fatherhood, of course we want to be a living example of that. And I think, I want him to understand that we support him. He has to find his way, right? He has to, the skills that he's learned through his parents and then formal education, combine those and find your way. So that way you can exercise the pie analogy. You can, get exposed and have opportunities, and you can develop your image and your brand. And because as I said, all you have is your name. And I want him to take that Riddick name and continue that brand for his children and their children, because that's really what it's all about. And then it gives him opportunities to perform and show what he can really do. So these are just kind of, small snippets of what we want to teach him. Right now he's 6 months. We're just trying to teach him how to crawl. Still
a baby.
He's still just a little baby. But yeah, we just want him to be a dynamic contributor to society, and continue the long-term success and legacy that his mother and I are trying to build for him today.
Wow. I love it. It's so beautiful. Well, he's in great hands. I have no doubt he'll become a stand-up man, as you said, and contribute to the world. And that's what the world needs.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, let's wrap up with talking about your foundation. This is so very important to your life and your ancestry. And tell us about the foundation that you and your wife created. Yeah.
Back in January of 2021, we were in the midst of the pandemic, right? My wife and I had just gotten married, and we really were just sitting down thinking about legacy. What do we, want to build that will carry on? Because, we knew that, we're together, and, we knew we wanted to have children. And we wanted to build something and start early, so that way, whenever we do have children, wherever that is, it's established, it's built, and we can continue to have it grow. So the Riddick Foundation was founded to advocate for the Black and Brown community in areas of scholarship, mentorship, and arts advocacy. So scholarship, of course, is pretty self-explanatory as far as education, where my wife and I have established scholarships at couple of different colleges so far, which has been a great opportunity for business leaders or potential business leaders who in higher education. I have opportunities to go and speak at different colleges about my experience. So it's a great opportunity there. So the scholarship piece is overall educational. Then we have the mentorship piece, which is what I touched on earlier, getting yourself a mentor. So we love to have, for newly college graduates, shirt and tie giveaways, one-on-ones, social etiquette, men's mentorship, communication skills, of course, if you need resume building, interview skills, things like that. And then we have the arts advocacy piece, which is what my wife headlines. My wife is an artist by nature. She has an arts administration degree from Penn State, and she's performed on the stages of the Apollo and all these other organizations that she's been a part of over the years. So that piece is really advocating for the arts in the Black community and how it can really assist in your mental health, your physical health, depending on what it is, as far as dance or singing, and just the kind of establishing the arts programs in the community. Sometimes these programs are depleted, especially in Black and brown neighborhoods. Sometimes when there's budget cuts, those programs are sometimes the first to go. Yeah. So we're just trying to, again, shake the right hands and meet the right people to begin to establish those type of programs as well. So we've only done it for about 3.5 years. We're still in our infancy, but we're really excited about our thought process and where we're going. Like I said, we've already established scholarships. We've launched the mentorship. Arts advocacy is coming along with the birth of our son. Like I said, my wife's headlining that piece, so it's kind of slowed down, but we're really excited about where we're going. And, we've got a lot of exposure in the image. People are hearing about it. They like it. And we've gotten some opportunities as well and a lot of support. So hopefully we'll continue to grow.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm always advocating for STEAM, not STEM, because I say if we lose the arts and the humanities, we're in big trouble. We
Absolutely.
Must give folks that emotional, that incredible feeling when we're at the symphony, exactly. Seeing the dancers, at a film, at a poetry reading. There's nothing like it. And we as humans need to keep that. We're designed for that.
Absolutely. Completely agree.
Well, Matthew, what a pleasure. We've learned so much. And how can folks connect with you, whether business, the foundation, the Crohn's disease, advocacy? Give us a couple of great ways to connect with you in one or all of these areas.
Yeah. For connection, from everything I'm doing business-wise, my LinkedIn is a huge area. So Matthew Riddick, JD, Juris Doctor. I'm a doctor of law. Yes. So you can definitely look me up at Matthew L. Riddick, JD on my LinkedIn. Our foundation, our Instagram page, the Riddick Foundation. You can look us up on Instagram there for what we're doing from a foundation standpoint. Our website, theriddickfoundation.com. You can look up everything we're doing there as far as events, opportunities to give. If you just want to connect, set up a one-on-one about potential opportunities. And then also, just simply Google. To be quite honest with you, I've been given great opportunities and as far as exposure, as I said, and image to be able to share my story. So you can Google Matthew Riddick, and you can see a lot about what I'm doing via articles, speaking engagements, things like that, just to learn about what we're doing over here at the Riddick Foundation, and if you would like to be a part of it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing your journey and your wisdom with us today. And thank you to our audience for being here. Stay tuned for the next episode of Up-Level Your Communication. And we'll say bye for now.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to share our show with the key leadership at your company and with your friends. If you know in your heart that you're ready to up-level your speaking, stage presence, and impact, visit milunafausch.com to schedule a complimentary call. You can also purchase my book and our podcast music, Strong Body.
Thank you for enjoying this content by Billionaires in Boxes. If you would like to be a guest or a host, be sure to get in contact with us at billionairesinboxes.com.